Hey guys, it's Tasha Renee here and welcome back to my channel. If you can see by this title, I am going to be talking about my pregnancy journey. Like what led up to me getting pregnant, my conception story. I had a few people comment and ask me to do this video, basically asking like how long it took my husband and I to conceive and what steps we took to prepare for that. Where do I begin? I've wanted a baby since I can remember. If you want to take it back realistically, prior to my husband and I getting pregnant, I've tried to conceive with past boyfriends or like my last ex-fiance. That it's a whole different story, whatever. I could have possibly been pregnant at 16 years old, but God makes no mistakes and everything happens when it's supposed to, and I'm grateful for my journey and I'm grateful for how things aligned. I'm not gonna go as far back as me trying to get pregnant with my first boyfriend when I was 16 years old. Like, I'm not going to talk about that. I'll talk about currently this journey with my husband trying to conceive. Now, my husband and I have been together for, this October will be 8 years. When we first got together, it's not like I was trying to get breed off. I wasn't trying to get pregnant from when we first got together. But in my mind, knowing that in my relationship prior to him, we were heavy on we want a baby, we want a baby, we want a baby. So that never left my mind to say, I don't want a baby anymore. I always wanted a baby. But like I said, I didn't go into the relationship like, hey, so let me get some sperm. Like when we started off our relationship, we kind of was on the same page. I forced myself to be on his page. Like I would say, like, I don't want kids. And he would follow suit and be like, yeah, I'm not ready for kids. We don't want kids. Like, not right now. And after a while, the more I kept saying it, the more I realized like I'm really lying to myself, and I can't continue to live this lie, especially since I'm in a relationship with my absolute best friend. For something as sensitive as this, I should be able to talk to him and let him know exactly how I was feeling about this subject. For about like 3 years is when I was really like talking about it more and more and more. Like every day I would probably come out and be like, hey babe, I want a baby. I really do want a baby, and I've never done anything to prevent getting pregnant. So it's not like we weren't trying, it's not like we were trying. So I could have gotten pregnant anytime in our relationship, but it never happened. My journey started last year. I got to the point where I'm like, okay, something is really going on, and if we really want to focus on trying to have a baby, we need to figure out exactly what's wrong with me. But I know nothing was wrong with him, and the reason I knew that is because I tried to get pregnant by 3 different prior boyfriends, and all 3 of them have kids. It kind of made me feel like less of a woman. Why, like, what's really wrong with me? Like, what did I do to have something not functioning with my body? Like, what am I doing? I have so many people that can just like blink and get pregnant like with ease, when the people that actually want to have the kids and that are actually trying to have the kids are the ones that aren't successful with it. I was like, it's time for us to go to the doctor. I went to the doctor. I want to say like my first appointment was probably in July sometime. I told them like the reason I wanted that we came to the doctor is because we're starting to try to have a baby, and I don't know exactly what's wrong with me because my cycles are completely irregular. Like it can come today and it can come, let's say, 4 months from now. So it was hard for me to even track when I can get pregnant because my cycles were completely irregular. The first thing that we did, she scheduled for me to get a transvaginal test, which is just a test that they go in and they check your ovaries and your uterus just to make sure that it looks fine. August 3rd, I went to take the transvaginal test, and my results from the test basically said that my right ovary, my left ovary was perfectly fine, but I also had a small fibroid in my uterus. First of all, I didn't even know how common it was in women, so that kind of like threw me off. I started Googling about fibroids and seeing like, does this cause infertility? She basically told me that the fibroid was so little, like if they weren't looking for it, they probably wouldn't have seen it. So it was nothing to worry about. She referred me to an OBGYN. I found the OBGYN, and basically the first thing that she told me is that we needed to try to regulate my cycles, because if I don't have a consistent period, that means I'm not ovulating every single month. She recommended 2 things. So the first thing she recommended was for me to take these tablets and it's called medroxyprogesterone. So it's just progesterone pills, and basically what this is supposed to do is regulate my cycles. I was a little bit on the fence, especially since it was only been probably like a month or two since I started going to the doctor, and she just automatically was like, hey, let's start taking this progesterone. So I was a little nervous to take it. All my pills are still in here. I never even took these pills whatsoever. But then she also scheduled me to take Hsg test. I'll leave the link below so you can see my my journey for when I took the Hsg test. And that basically is a test that checks your fallopian tube. That test, it really wasn't that bad. From the reviews that I've seen online and stuff like that, a lot of people were talking about how painful it was and how uncomfortable they were. It wasn't that uncomfortable for me whatsoever. It was just more, I was more nervous in general because I was in the room for probably like 30-45 minutes by myself before the doctor came in to do the test. So I was scared as shit by myself because my husband was like outside in the waiting room. The results from the Hsg test, it basically said that my left fallopian tube was fine, like the ink went straight through, but the right fallopian tube, it said it had a mild hydrosalpinx, and hydrosalpinx is basically like a blockage of the fallopian tube. Then they scheduled my husband to get a sperm test, and the results from his test was what I expected. Everything was working perfectly fine, and that just solidified the reason why I thought like, yeah, something is really wrong with me. We really need to figure this shit out. After I took the Hsg test, I took that October 25th. I think I got my period around like the 27th or the 28th or something like that. So there was no need for me to take these pills for the month of October because my period already came. And then starting in November, I decided to like change the way like I was eating and stuff like that. So my husband and I stopped eating meat, and it was kind of like cold turkey, and I started to take prenatal vitamins ahead of time. And it was just like, I think the brand was like Solaray. I just got like some prenatal vitamins, and my husband started to take some multivitamins, some like daily multivitamins as well. And I took some fertility pills. So I'm not sure if any of that worked, because when I explained to the doctor that I was taking fertility pills and prenatal pills, they basically said like the fertility pills, they just put the name on it just to say, and it's kind of like the same thing like prenatal. I had an appointment November 22nd. I went to the doctor and I told her that I got my cycle in October, and basically I told her I was afraid to take the progesterone. So then she just started to recommend Clomid or clomiphene for me. And the clomiphene pills, basically what is that supposed to do is to increase ovulation. Now you can only take these pills once your cycle has been regulated. So these are what the pills look like. Without doing anything besides changing my diet and taking prenatal vitamins, my OBGYN said that there's a higher chance of people getting pregnant once they take the Hsg test, because I don't know if when they shoot the ink through your fallopian tubes, like it opens it up and creates more access, and a lot of people get pregnant sooner after they take the Hsg test. So I took the Hsg test in October, and I got my cycle a couple days later, which was like the end of October. When I went to the doctor towards the end of November, she recommended the clomiphene. I got my cycle the end of November as well. So I was like, oh my gosh, my period came the end of October, and literally like 28 days later, my period came again in November. And that was the first time in my entire life that my period ever came when it was supposed to. And I started to take the clomiphene pills. She also recommended I get an ovulation test, and the ovulation test lets you know exactly when you're ovulating so you can have sex during the time that you're ovulating. When December rolled around, I took a pregnancy test. I wasn't pregnant. So then I'm like, okay, here we go. And it wasn't until like I read up on the whole ovulation thing that I was like, I probably followed the ovulation test incorrectly. I fucked up this month. In January now, I went to St. Croix, to the Virgin Islands, back home where I haven't been in literally like 10 years. And it was just a release. It was just like a relaxing moment, a time for me to like clear my energy and just be in such a beautiful place to be able to like clear my mind. So I was there. I got there like the end of December, and I left January 8th, which was my birthday. And I got my period January 1st. Luckily, I had my pills with me. I took my pills while I was there in St. Croix. So I remember on January 18th and 19th, I had sex on both days. I made a video on January 27th, I think. Basically giving you guys like a pregnancy update and talking about my TTC journey and the fact that I didn't conceive the month prior because I didn't follow the ovulation thing properly. And I was like, well, we're already in the end of January, following like how my cycles are supposed to be. I should be getting my period within a couple of days. Now, when I made that video, 2 days later, I found out I was pregnant. September, October, November, December, January. It literally took me 5 months to get pregnant after I started going to the doctor. And that's nothing but God that made that process go by so fast, because like I said, it's been a journey, a hell of a journey from the beginning, trying to get pregnant for years. And I went to the doctor, we did a few tests, I took some pills, and 5 months later, I have a whole baby in my belly, and I'm 7.5 months pregnant right now. Mentally, it has a lot to do with like your mindset. We like meditated about this, like I was cleansing with sage all over the place, and I just was like, whatever's meant to happen is going to happen. Just at that moment when you're about to give up and you think that you can't do something, that's when it's like that breaking point, and that's when everything is about to happen. And I'm not saying to have that mentality to like give up or feel like you want to give up so you can have that breakthrough, but literally when I felt like, okay, you know what, I'm over it, I'm tired of looking at these negative pregnancy tests, I'm tired of being disappointed, like I'm just gonna adopt a baby. Like I know the process is probably gonna be even more stressful, but I don't want to put myself through this and put myself through like any more disappointment. And what's crazy, like I said, that same month, January, the end of January, January 29th, I found out that I was pregnant. Even like I couldn't even upload a reaction to my pregnancy video because it wasn't even a reaction that I expected, because it's something that I've never seen before. I didn't even cry, I didn't break down, I just looked at it and I could not believe it. Like I could not believe the test. Like I had everything in my mind about like how am I gonna surprise my husband, what am I gonna do? And he came home from work that day and I just like showed it to him. I'm like, am I crazy? Do you see 2 lines on this test? Like that's how I told him I was pregnant. Like, do you see 2 lines? Because I think I'm tripping. And I probably took about like 5 tests before I really believed it. Like I got like the digital ones that actually said pregnant, and then it really hit me like, oh my God, I'm really pregnant. So that's basically my pregnancy journey, my conception story, for those that have been asking. And for those that are still on your journey, I mean, the only thing that I can do is send prayers, send blessings, and just let you know, like, you really have to be patient and just know that you have to trust God's timing. Like, you can't sit there and look at the next person and wonder, like, why you and stuff like that. You really just have to believe that your time was gonna come. To anybody that's watching this video that's wishing that they can be blessed with a baby, I know, like firsthand, I've been there for years trying, and it's so crazy because I actually received a message from someone on Instagram the other day. I actually want to read it to you guys. So the message basically said that she's like, can I say you are a true blessing? I don't want at all to seem weird, but I began following you when my soul sister showed me your first baby bump post about your worries on how you didn't think you'd be able to conceive. And that really spoke to me in my life. I thought I was broken and I became angry with all women who were able. But your post gave me some peace and I began to relax, and I followed your journey, and now here I am, only 8 weeks pregnant, but here nonetheless. She's like, I remember crying all the time because, like, why not me? When everyone else seemed to be doing it with no planning needed. She's like, all this to say, I'm so grateful that you shared your fears to the cyber world, not knowing what the turnout would be, and that it found a way to a woman that I trusted to actually get peace. I've always asked to receive, but now I am blessed, and you definitely had some role in that, even though you had no idea. And this message touched me so much because, like, you never know what the next person is going through. And the reason I honestly make these videos is because I know I'm not the only person. Like, a lot of times when you go through something, you feel like you're the only one and you're by yourself. But when you talk about something, you would realize that there's so many people out there in the world that are struggling or going through a lot of things that you are going through too. So it's like, it makes so much better to have a community where we can all be open and honest and be able to like talk about what we're going through. If you only know the amount of people that reached out to me personally after I shared the fact that I thought that I couldn't get pregnant, and I've touched so many people unknowingly and unintentionally, and it makes me feel like I kind of have a purpose, even though it's like a lot of times I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But like little things like this just makes me want to keep going and want to make me share my story with everybody else, just to know that you're not alone and you have somebody that is going through whatever you might be going through, and there's always somebody listening, somebody that's there, and you never have to go through anything alone. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.